Hello, you beautiful people. I'm King Aaron, and welcome back to another episode from my guide series, this time on Xinyan. If you do like my content, I hope you like, comment, and subscribe. But with the begging done, let's get right into the video. To start off, Xinyan is one of my favorite characters to use. I, like many others, have started playing her due to the Shiki Taishu event, and I have found out she rocks. She is a 4-star Pyro Claymore Flex character. She has split scaling and is able to fill many roles in teams, but she primarily focuses on being a swirly girly.
You is rockstar!
However, because of her multiple roles you can play her as, I will focus more on her best of the best for artifacts and weapons instead of all the things you can build on her for the sake of time. Starting with her talents, we have her normal attack, where she, like everyone else, goes smack, which scales off of attack. Her charged attack makes her spin around, dealing heavy damage at the cost of stamina for the duration. This charged attack only lasts for about half the stamina bar, but there is a little trick you can do here to keep it going. If at any point of using her charged attack you go to a menu that keeps you in game, the charged attack will continue until she runs out of stamina. I've tested it in many places and it seems to work in every menu other than the wish menu. It only doesn't work there. Her elemental skill has her swing around her guitar, dealing pyro damage, and then summoning a shield to protect the active character for the duration. The shield damage absorption scales up in defense, and on the amount of enemies she hits with the initial swing of the ability. This can scale up to 3 enemies hit. At 3 levels, the shield will intermittently release a wave of pyro, dealing damage to surrounding enemies. This is mainly where her problem lies, as her shield scales off of defense, but the swing, the pyro effects of the shield, and the rest of her kit scale off of attack. Her 2 ascensions buff this ability. Her Ascension 1 decreases the needed amount of enemies to hit for her skill, so it requires 1 enemy to hit to get level 2, and 2 enemies to hit to get to level 3. Her Ascension 4 buffs the physical damage dealt by characters who are shielded by her shield. This animation, though, is probably my favorite in the game. Like, look at her go! Now, her burst deals physical damage on the first initial hit and launches opponents, then deals pyro damage afterwards. This scales off of attack as well. Now, before I talk about talent priority, I want to talk about her constellations, as they determine it somewhat. C1, when Xinyan crits, she gains an attack speed boost to her normal and charged attacks for 5 seconds, once every 5 seconds, so she has permanent uptime of this constellation as long as she is critting. C2 has her burst's physical damage always crit, and afterwards it grants Xinyan her level 3 shield. This opens up the burst support option for her. C3 increases her shield level by 3. C4 allows her skill to shred physical protections, allowing her to be a shield support for physical DPS characters. C5 levels up her burst by 3 levels. C6 decreases her charged attack stamina consumption, and when using her charged attack, her attack increases based on 50% of her defense. This allows her to be more versatile with her builds and without switching artifacts at all. Her constellations show us the 3 types of playstyle she has. She could be a main DPS, a burst DPS, or a shield support. For talent priority for main DPS, you should upgrade her normal attacks first, then her burst, then her skill. For burst DPS, upgrade her burst, then shield, then normal attacks. And lastly, for her shield support, upgrade her shield, then burst, then normal attacks. I will continue on with the order of main DPS, burst support, and then shield support throughout the rest of the video. For artifacts, her best all-around set is 2-piece Bloodstained Chivalry and 2-piece Pale Flame, as they increase her main sources of damage for all builds. This is her best artifact set no matter what, but she does have other options available. Her substats priority is also going to change with each build, so I will stick with the consistent ones here for a more all-around build. Flower and Feather main stats can only be HP and attack respectively, and generally it's better to run defense on the sands, physical damage for the goblet, and crit damage on the circlet. For substats, you'll want crit rate and damage, then attack percent and defense percent. For main DPS, she can run Retracing Bolide to help her shield strength and her normal and charged attacks, but she will be losing damage from her burst, which is not ideal. Her best 3 3 to 4 star artifact set is Resolution of Sojourner, which increases her normal attack and charged attack crit rate. Main stats to go for here are attack on the sands, physical damage on the goblet, and crit rate or damage on the circlet. Substats are crit rate or damage and attack percent with a splash of defense percent. For burst support, she can use a 2-piece Noblesse and a 2-piece of either Bloodstained or Pale Flame, or you can run a 4-piece Noblesse for the attack boosts. The best 3 to 4 star artifacts are those of the Exile, which increases her energy recharge and helps regen energy for all party members. Main stats here are attack for the sands, physical damage goblet, and then crit damage for the circlet. Substats are crit rate and damage, and then attack with a bit of defense. For shield support, her best is a 4-piece tenacity as of now, since it grants increased shield strength to active characters in the 4-piece and attack boosts when she uses her skill, and when it pulsates with pyro. But, especially with her C2, she can also use 2-piece emblem and 2-piece husk, starting in 2.3. Her best 3 to 4 artifacts are a 2-piece defender's will and a 2-piece exile or scholar. Main stats here are defense percent for the sands, physical damage or defense for the goblet, and then crit damage for the circlet. Substat priority is crit rate and damage with defense percent and attack percent on the side. Now for weapons. Her best 3-star is Skyrider Greatsword for the physical damage and the great passive that increases attack when she hits with normal and charged attacks. The other 3 stars don't compare. Her best 4 stars all around are White Blind, Snow Tomb Star Silver, and Black Cliff Slasher. I will explain these more later, but I believe these are the best weapons to use if you don't want to keep switching weapons and only want to pick one. For 5 stars, her all-around best are Wolf's Gravestone, Song of Broken Pines, Redhorn Stone Thresher, Skyward Pride, and then the Unforged. Wolf's Gravestone and Broken Pines provide support buffing and huge damage. Redhorn supports a shield build and main DPS build. Skyward incentivizes a burst support playstyle, and Unforged is best used only for a main DPS Xinyan. These weapons here are in order of versatility rather than power. For a main DPS Xinyan, the 4 stars I would recommend are the Prototype Archaic most, since it gives a great attack boost and a great passive that procs on normal and charged attack hits. Honorable mentions I have here are White Blind and Snow Tomb Star Silver. I don't recommend Serpent Spine here, since her shield is not good enough to keep the passive up. And for 5 stars, all of them work really well on her, but the best one for main DPS Xinyan is the upcoming Redhorn Stone Thresher, because its stats are absurd and its passive allows her to build full into defense and greatly benefit off of it. For burst support Xinyan, her best 4-star is Luxurious Sea Lord, the increased burst damage, and because its passive also deals physical damage. She could also run Snow Tomb Star Silver or the passive after her burst to deal some extra damage and the increased physical damage. White Blind and Favonius are also really good, especially if you have her C2, but I don't recommend Serpent Spine here because she loses out on the crit chance the weapon gives. For 5 stars, I would only really recommend Wolf's Gravestone for the huge attack boost it will give to the team. For a shield support, I would heavily recommend for 4 stars running a Sacrificial Greatsword or the 100% uptime on it, especially since the pulses from her shield will proc this. If you have her C2, her shield will be up all the time. Another good option is White Blind for the great defense increase for her shield. For 5 stars, I would only really recommend Wolf's Gravestone again because of its supportive capabilities, but in the end she can use almost all claymores really well, especially the ones I noted above. Now for teams. For main DPS, she has 2 options. 1, raw damage with Geo Resonance and Pirate Resonance, or 2, a superconduct team. I'll start with the raw damage comp. Generally just go Bennett for the Pirate Resonance since he's the best abuser of it. You can also go Zhengling for her off-field pyro damage, and they're also swirly girly friends, so that's a plus. You can also go C2 Klee for the defense shred, or Toma, especially if you have his C6 for the increase to charge attack damage he provides. For the other 2 characters, all you're going to need is the Geo Resonance from the supports. So Albedo and Zhongli are best, and Goro is decent due to his defense boosts. For the superconduct team, all you'll need is a Cryo Applicator and an Electro Applicator. Her best is C6 Rosaria due to the physical defense shred she provides, but all other Cryo characters other than Eula and Chongyun work really well with her, specifically Kaya, Diona, and Gan Yu. Kaya is great for a melee DPS character like Xinyan. Ganyu provides crowd control, which therefore increases Xinyan's shield uptime and the physical damage buff it gives her. Ganyu also has permanent cryo uptime for Xinyan. Diona is also good since she provides shields for her as well as healing and stamina reduction for her charge attacks. For electro characters, I believe Fischl to be her best option due to Oz's constant uptime and constant application of electro. Beidou is also a really good option here for her area of effect electro application. Lisa is a good free-to-play option here due to her 4th ascension, which will decrease defenses. The last slot is best filled by a character that can provide more buffs to her, like Zhongli, or a character that can grant a resonance boost to her, like another cryo character or pyro character like the ones stated before. For a burst support position, you can run her almost anywhere, especially if you're missing someone for a pyro resonance slot. She mainly deals physical damage, so she won't be messing up reactions a whole lot. If you have her C2, it's best to focus on putting her in a comp with a physical DPS, like if you were to build her as a shield support. Here, you'll want her to be a shield support replacement for Diona or Zhongli. This will open up a spot for another cryo or electro character in a comp and open up the ability to use a double pyro comp with her. For instance, you can use her as a support for Razor and then go double cryo for an increased crit rate with Kaya and Rosaria, or you can swap out the Kaya or Rosaria here for someone like Bennett. She can even help support a physical main DPS Rosaria if you want to run her as such with a Bennett or Diona as a support, and then a battery like Kaya or Fischl. I think that's all I have for you guys today. If you did like the video or felt it useful at all, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. But with that, I think I will see you lovely people in the next video. Bye bye!